I mean, it was a very different face to me. I was now handling him. You've never handled a husband. Yeah. So handling a man in your life and also still mourning. So these are phases in life that you've combined that will feel a lot of pressure. Because I was now married, a virgin girl, it was now becoming difficult because it was always painful. It was always hard. I felt, hey God, this is not what I was ready for. And I felt like, honey, I just need to go back home because I felt overwhelmed. And I thank God I did not go back home. Because in that process of thinking, going back home because it was getting difficult, the Lord helped us. So when there was this disagreement, those cousins of mine in that car, they started now abusing me. My husband, you think, a lot of things. You have a rotten womb. If you are blessed, tell that husband of yours, a lot of things.
My name is Bernard Achebe. I'm a pastor by calling and an electrical engineer by profession. I'm a husband, and that is why she's my wife, and I hope she can confirm that I'm a good husband for that matter. Yeah.
Nice one.
Wow. I'm Winnie Achebe. I am, I'm married to him as my husband. I am a mother, I am a pastor, I am a worshiper.
We want to dive in right into a story, and we want to know, how did you grow up so as to him, and then we'll come to part where the two of you are coming to meet up to where you are right now.
I've grown up in Dandora. Yes, I've schooled in, I went to a certain primary school, but I had to finish in another private men preparatory school. I joined high school, that is St. Augustine, and then I happened to join the University of Nairobi by the grace of God. Yes, and there are things started happening.
I was born and bred in the village, Busia County. Went to a primary school right there. Went to a high school, currently it's a national school, Butler Boys. Then finally I ended up in University of Nairobi. That defines my journey, my academic journey.
Yeah.
And the University of Nairobi, that is where I met this beautiful girl.
That is where you met the beautiful wife.
Yeah.
That explains where even a girl from Dandora and a Bernard from the village are now coming to meet.
Yeah.
The interesting part is how you guys met, even before we entered the dating part. Kindly take us through that journey.
Wow. So when I joined the University of Nairobi to pursue Bachelor of Arts Literature, that was when I was just in first year. And being born again, you know, when you get to campus, of course, you join the Christian Union. And when you join the Christian Union, the people you find there, you have mentors. And so having joined the Christian Union, that is Chiromo Christian Union, there was a mom in the Christian Union, we call them mom. The mom was, the mom I was introduced to called Mom Dency. I always mention her everywhere because she was a blessing to me. So she told me one of the Sundays, just after a few weeks, you know, getting to campus, that I want you to join me to NET, the Nyanza evangelistic team, to my E-team now, because I'm a Luo. So we went there after, you know, afternoon. Having went there to fellowship, there was, of course, the fellowship, and then there's a preacher of the day. So it happened that he was the guest minister preaching that day. So after we went for the fellowship, he was called to minister. It was his time, but that is the first time I was seeing him, and me having seen him, I don't know how to explain, but I never loved him. I saw him standing there, and I just hated him from the word go, how he was preaching, how he was doing everything, and being taken there with Mom Dency. I did not even finish when he stood like 10 minutes. Me, I didn't just love him. In between his sermon, I walked off. Like, I went and I left Mom Dency, and so I went back to my room because I felt this preacher, I just didn't like him. And so that was the first time.
Was it the message? Was it the
message? I didn't even know what he preached, but I didn't just love how he was so, I don't know, I can't even explain.
I was part of the people who, mentoring students, especially those who get to campus, first years, those who are still confused.
Yeah.
We are mentoring them, but in the right way. In campus, there is often introduction, and different people introduce you differently.
Yeah.
But now, part of our role was to just make sure that, they grow spiritually and all of that. And so over time, she must tell you how she came to like me later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So after that was the first time I actually saw him. So after that, it happened that we have a church in Dandora that my parents are serving. So we were planning for a mission, and when we were planning for a mission, there are very many other servants also in campus that I wanted to come and minister back then home. So it happened that I also valued him and felt that he needs to come to minister to our home church in Dandora. So I invited him. I told him that I wanted to come over and be a blessing to us. But when I told him, he never did what? He never gave me an instant answer. He told me it's okay. And I remember way before that, my mom, my biological mother, kept telling me, when you join campus, I want you to be mentored right. I want you to get into hands that you will not fall. We are used to people getting to campus and things happen. So because I was a Christian from home, from that background, she was very keen and careful on whose hands I'm going to fall. So every time my mom was an intercessor, she kept praying and telling me, I'm trusting God for you to get a mentor in campus, someone who will walk with you. So having called him to minister, did not give me a right, an answer there and there. He kept silent on everything, but I always felt like that he ignored me. I don't know why he never gave me an answer, but finally he agreed to come and minister. So after he had ministered, I think you need to say something there. Why you did not want to
give
confirm.
an instant answer?
No, it's not that I didn't want to give an instant answer, but I was also judging whether she's serious enough. Because, in campus you're also busy.
Yeah.
I was doing electrical engineering. I was quite busy. And so I wanted to see, is it something serious? If it's something serious, someone is at least going to follow up and press you that you need to go for this. Yeah, but wow.
So he confirmed. Okay. He said he's coming. So we organized everyone and people came to that mission. It was a one-day mission, Sunday, one day. And so there were 3 preachers of the day, and he happened to be preaching the last person. So remember, in that process, I've just joined it few weeks, let me say months, in our first semester. And my mom is there trusting God for someone who will walk with me. So after they came, there were very many ministers who were given the opportunity to minister. So after they ministered and the mission ended, so when we went back to campus, after I think a month, my mom calls me and tells me that I've been praying, and remember, I've been trusting God for someone to hold your hands. Then he started, my mom, she started telling me, out of the 3 preachers, the Lord has revealed to me that this is your mentor. And then she told me that, you see, the man who ministered the last one, because he was given an opportunity to minister. Everyone got a lot of time, but I don't know how it happened that he only ministered for 15 minutes. So that means it was not so visible. So my mom told me there is this young man who ministered. He described, and she told me that one, the young man, the Lord has revealed to me that is your mentor. Can you go and talk to him if he can accept to just walk with you campus life, to mentor you spiritually? And so one of the days he was supposed to minister, I think, in Kangemi. And then now, being people who are being mentored, the mentees, is inviting us to go with him. So going with him to Kangemi, we were just at the bus stop at University of Nairobi outside there. And then I get to him and I tell him, how are you? My mom has told me that you are my mentor. Can you please be my mentor?
Very innocently.
Very innocent. You just know, a first year, innocent, everything. And then, funny enough, I don't know why he used just to brush everything off. He was like, okay. And then we were just there. And that ended there. He just said, okay, sawa. I felt, why is he not saying, oh, really? Wow, I'm willing, I'm ready.
I'm excited.
He just said, okay. And it ended there and there.
Bernard.
So from that point, I don't know what happened.
Take us now through the mentorship journey.
Wow. Why I was never excited about it mentorship is a responsibility. If someone tells you that my mama said you mentor me, you are a man and is a lady, it's not something you're just going to be excited about. Number one, you might think, hey, is this a setup? So, because there are other people who are looking up to me, for me, I always looked at it as a responsibility. And so I took up the mandate. And well, later on, because I was getting out of campus and she was still going to be there. But because I was mentoring a group of people, I began to ask God, how do you just mentor people? And then, God should also tithe. Tithe.
Because you've been mentoring his people.
Yes.
Now he should arudishe mkono kidogo.
So I actually told God, now, because I'm leaving, it's good that you also give something. I've worked. And so she was a victim of that.
So how does we move from mentoring this innocent girl to now asking God, nirudishie mkono?
I knew that question was going to come. Yeah, she came quite close. And because she was just amongst the people I was mentoring, and she was quite inquisitive, I would say. Over time, I left campus, and then I could still go and mentor them. That is how passionate I was. But because we used to have a prayer group that every Wednesday night we just come together, campus students and some associates, and just pray. So one of those Wednesdays, she had already told me that my mama said, you see, you are the one supposed to mentor me. So one of those, Wednesdays while praying, the Lord confirmed to me that she's the tithe I'm talking about.
Oh, she's your wife?
Yes, she's my wife. So the next day in the morning, I told her, this time round, we are going this direction. I'm going to buy you breakfast before you go back home. So I just told her, hey, I'm promoting you from being just a mentee into a wife to be. Recently,
there has been a discussion of young girls getting groomed in church to be wives to their spiritual dads, to particular leaders in church. So where do we draw the line between this man of God being spoken to by God and them grooming these young girls into becoming their wives?
Wow. I would say it's wrong. Actually, you should not be groomed into becoming someone's wife. A decision for one of the greatest decisions you'll ever make when it comes to your life is who you're going to marry. And it's something you must make while sober enough. And, the decision on the person you're going to marry someone else should not make that decision for you. If God speaks to me that this is my wife, God must also speak to her that this is your husband. So you should not be, because you can be manipulated. Someone will tell you, she can actually confirm. She also went through such things where people just come and say, God is telling me,
God said,
I'm your husband.
Now your mentor has told you, you go somewhere and take breakfast, and he's now telling you, like, you are supposed to be my wife.
So that day he told me that, you know what, I love you. And I always say that what crushed me most, because at that still point, I'm looking at him as my mentor. Someone I fear. Like, that is my mentor. Yeah. That is my dad, spiritual dad. And when he told me in that hotel, I remember that hotel until today, that, you know what, I love you. I crashed. I was like, wait a bit, you love me? To me, that it did not make any sense. Yeah. And I felt this is a setup. I felt so, I don't know how to explain this. I felt, that was extreme on me. And I remember very well, I did not answer him. All I did was to cry, because I felt, really, this does not make sense. So I told him, I'll give you feedback on this, but I went home crying. And because, my mom was a very close friend to me, and that mentor that I loved so much, I went back home and I told him, you know what, mom, you see the mentor that you said is my mentor has just told me that he loves me, because I was very young and innocent, you know, ukikatiwa tu you go and say. So I told him, you see the mentor you told me has told me he loves me. And my mom told me, oh, really? And then, you know, she kept that story like, alimalizia tu akabash of that story. And I was like, why is it my mom not talking much about it? And so I didn't even have a definite answer. So I think we stopped at that point. So we continued. And my mom told me after some time, it's okay. You know, she told me it's okay. When she told me it's okay, I went back and told him, yeah, it's okay. But what I would say is at that, it was like I was dreaming. To me, it was something very weighty. And I was, you know, I revered him so high. I felt, how can I handle this servant of God? You know, I'm just a first year, for heaven's sake. And I felt this is my destiny helper, you know, which is true and he has been until now. But to me, I felt, it is, nilifeel ni kama ni dhambi amefanya. You know, I felt, hey,
he's crossing the lines.
Yeah, he's crossing the lines. And then, you know, that is when before that, after I confirmed, you know, he told me that, let me confess to you that there's a time I had visited him in Utawala Church. He used to fellowship in Utawala. And then I used to minister, I'm a worshiper, so I minister in the worship team. And then, you know, he told me there's a day you were climbing to the altar. I think you can say
and I felt something.
You know, I saw you climb the altar and I felt something.
Yeah. Christian Rees. When you're now courting as a mentor and a mentee, how are you maintaining purity in your relationship?
One of the areas my mom invested is the area of purity. One of the areas, because I remember when she was alive, when I was, every time before I joined campus, she kept telling me that, you know, in the area where I come from, people get pregnant. These ladies, they get pregnant before time. Their destinies are messed. A lot of things happen, and we can see tangible results on that. And so my mom invested in me. Every time she kept telling me, way before I joined high school, that my daughter, I want you to walk in purity. I want you to walk in purity. So I joined high school and still walking in purity. So when it was time to get to campus, I would say my mom spoke to me over I don't know, I would call it 1,000,000 times, telling me one of the gifts I want you to give me, my daughter, is walk in purity. I want you to be married, a virgin girl. You know, remember I'm growing up in church, and she kept insisting that one of the best gifts you will give me as a mother is the day you will do your wedding, just a virgin girl. And so I grew up, because it is something, you know, when something is repetitive to you, you grow into it. So I vowed to myself that I will never sleep with a man till marriage. That is one thing I tried by all means. When we were now courting, having met him, I thank God that there are very many confirmations after he had, we'll call it, you seduced me, this seduction. How do we call it now? After he had told me that he loves me, there were very many confirmations to that, because it was not just, there was very many spiritual confirmations to him being my husband. So we started, of course, you know, courting and all that. So thank God that he was also born again. You know, when you walk in the ways of the Lord, when you've involved God, he will ensure that he has given you the right person. And when he gives you the right person, I assure you, because God knows you, he will not give you someone who will lure you into sexual sin. And he knows very well that this is the path that you have chosen. So thanking God so much that the man that God gave me was a man who knew God, who had not just knowing God, he had the fear of God. And so him having the fear of God, and me also having the fear of God, and being mentored in the ways of God, it is, we had decided and said we will not do what? Fornicate. Let me call it fornication. Because I remember every time he kept saying and telling ladies, the ones he was mentoring, and even me, that if I happen to date a lady, if I happen to date you and sleep with you, just be sure I will not marry you. You know, that is one thing he kept insisting and singing it like a song. You know, to someone you date, keeping saying that means you're very safe. And I would say the 2 years we dated, we never fornicated, we never intercoursed, because I was virgin. I believe you are a virgin. You know, with ladies you can confirm.
Yeah.
So for him, I always want him to say, because how do you know when a man is
You will
virgin?
never know.
That's why I keep, when I talk about it, I ask him, "Oh, you are a virgin?" He has
Yes,
kept
I
telling
was.
me, "You are not
Yes, I
saying,
was.
why you a virgin?"
But you know that discussion, we have had it for the longest time, and he has
Until
never
today,
believed.
I ask him. Because for me, if it's a lady, definitely your husband can
Yeah, you
attest. If
can
he's here, he
tell,
can
yes.
say, "No, my
Yeah.
wife was a virgin." So that is why every time, even on set, I have to ask him, "Honey, were you a virgin?" So even in marriage today, I keep asking him, "Are you sure you never?" You know, for me, I was. So yeah. So we kept purity by the grace of God. We walked in righteousness. And let me call it 2 years we dated.
Yeah.
Him having the fear of God, I will say he helped me so much. And also him helping me, I will also say I helped him. Men are referred as weak, you know, weak people.
Yeah.
You know, say, "Oh, Atakama is a servant." But I will say also, as a lady, you have a very big role to play in a relationship. When you decide that I'm not going to fornicate with this man, especially as a lady, you will not fornicate. When you compromise, I assure you, even if what, because if they're saying men are weak, we have still the remnant. We have a remnant, a generation that still values righteousness. And so I thank God, because I found one that really values righteousness. And so we were able to walk in righteousness.
Yeah, yeah.
How easy or difficult was that journey for you?
I would say easy, because God was in it. Everything that you involve God, there is often a grace that is going to help you to walk the journey. But not, I would not just say that is an easy, journey. Anyone you love, you are attracted to them. And of course, there are times you'll feel to cross the boundaries. And that is why for me, after 2 years, I felt that no, I'm not going to wait any longer. God, if I go beyond this, I'm going to mess up. So, and from that point, we began to organize for a wedding.
Does marriage cure the last aspect of a human being?
Wow. Does marriage cure lust? It doesn't. In fact, I would say there's a lot of temptation in marriage. If you're not careful, you're bound to survive in singlehood and then fall in marriage. Because marriage has got also its own challenges. There's a saying that you'll always want to have what you don't have. What is readily available, you usually feel, pana, my wife, I'm not satisfied. Let me check out for something else. Because especially men, we are built to, explore. And so if you do not uphold self-control and purity while in singlehood, you'll not still survive in marriage. In fact, marriage may open up that window for, misbehavior.
Let's get to your wedding. How was that day for you?
A lot of things happened in my life and in our lives, because 2 months to my wedding, I lost my mom. I lost my mentor. I lost my friend. I lost the woman who really wanted to witness marriage, my marriage, to witness the man who was going to marry me. So 2 months to my wedding, my mom just died. I would call it mysteriously. A lot of stories given and all that, but I would say she died unexpectedly. So we had started our marriage plans. He had done the first visit, and then as we were planning for the dowry now, my mom just had fallen down and little head injury kidogo too. And then the next thing is when we are taking her to the hospital, on the way she just died and left. So it turned from celebration to mourning. And so my mom stayed, he died and he stayed in the morgue for, I would say,
3 weeks around.
Almost 1 month. He stayed almost 1 month in the morgue. We were looking for finances because he was in the ICU for some time, being kept there. So it was a change of events suddenly. From celebration, you're calling for your celebration, and I was doing this wedding to just make God and my mother so proud. So he kept asking me that are we going to continue or we put everything to a stop? And he can confirm that I told him we are not going to, because we had set our wedding date, that was 2018, on 11th August. And I told him we are not going to change anything. Yeah. It is going to remain. The date was set, everyone knew. We are not going to change anything.
Number one, I had never experienced such a close person passing. And so I didn't know how she's feeling. And that is why I was comfortable with any form of adjustment, because I knew now, I don't know how long she needs to mourn the mother. But when she assured me that, we must go ahead with this, I said, it's okay. We have to do that. Even though my parents were against that you can't just marry someone who is still mourning. What is this thing? Is she pregnant? In fact, that's what they told me.
What is the rush for?
What is the rush for?
Yeah.
Give her time, relax, let her mourn. But because I knew that, aligning to her wish would also create a platform for healing, I said, okay, we go ahead. Yeah, but I think it was the most challenging time, because personally, I had never experienced a scenario where a close person, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to tell her, sorry, your mom has passed and I still have my mom. Sometimes it's very difficult to help someone who is grieving, especially if you have never experienced the same thing.
Yes.
So we went and buried my mother, and then when we were coming back, it was approximately two months. Let me say 2 months or less than 2 months, maybe 7 weeks or something, but let's say 2 months.
Yeah.
And I would say, if there is one thing, until to this very day, I have attended very many weddings, even for our spiritual sons and daughters, I would say so, for friends all over. But if there is one thing that I would say the Lord honored my wedding with, and everyone who was there can attest, and they will see them maybe attesting in the comment section, that the Lord honored us with his presence. Like on our wedding day, the Lord came by himself. So after that, we proceeded to our honeymoon. And now, remember I told you I was virgin.
Yes.
She has said yes. She's really wanting to hear that. So when we proceeded to our honeymoon, I would say that night nothing happened, because the bride was very tired, and we slept on our honeymoon night, the first night. Thank God.
Thank God for me.
And so we slept, and isn't it?
Yeah. We slept on our honeymoon. We slept till morning.
Until morning,
As
and the
roommates.
expected now just happened. But I will say, being married, a virgin girl, I say it is not easy, because this is something you're going to try out for the first time. Yes, we thank God for our late reverend, who had taken us through the premarital counseling and taught us a lot of things, and here and there, even though you're being taught, but getting knowledge is one thing, and getting to the grounds and doing everything practically is another thing. So having every teachings we had received, now it was time to practicalize everything. And so it was not an easy thing. I would say that it was challenging, it was hard, it was difficult, it was but as I keep saying that it was as one step at a time. We were living a day at a time. So from that point, we finished our honeymoon 2 weeks outside, and then we had to come back to the house. Now you get now back to the house. And I would say, because I was still dealing with the loss of my mom and a lot of things, I mean, it was a very different phase to me. I was now handling him, you've never handled a husband. So handling a man in your life, and also still mourning. So these are phases in life that you've combined that will feel a lot of pressure. So when I remember there's a time, because I was now married, a virgin girl, it was now becoming difficult because it was always painful, it was always hard. And when you're starting something for the first time, definitely you don't enjoy. When you adjust your life to a new system, you'll enjoy with time because it's a journey and it's a process. So when we got back to the house, I felt, hey, this is now too much. I felt, hey, God, this is not what I was ready for. And I felt like, honey, I just need to go back home because I felt overwhelmed. And also this thing that God has given us, we need to bless each other. The blessing each other part was not blessing each other. It was becoming quite hard. And I thank God I did not go back home, because in that process of thinking going back home, because it was getting difficult, the Lord helped us.
The honeymoon phase is done, and now people are trying to look at her and they're like, the stomach is still flat. When are we celebrating the new year?
Wow. But for us, we had a target that at least we're going to stay for 3 years before we begin to think about having a child.
Oh, wow.
Because personally, I come from a polygamous setup. My dad, I believe my dad has around 28 kids, those ones that I know. So, from that background, I said, no, I'm not in a hurry to really have a child. That was not a priority because we also wanted to just work on ourselves, grow ourselves. We married, I didn't have a job. I was still very confused. And so we wanted to at least plan our lives before we begin to think about issues of children. But I would say in our second year of marriage,
I changed my mind.
She changed her mind. And so we began to deliberately pursue that, if we have a child, that's okay. Yeah.
When you're doing the family plannings, the one I had was to renew, and year you renew. So after that year, it happened that I was supposed to go and renew. But the way you were so reluctant and you're not in a hurry. So after the one I had expired, so I did not go to renew, and I did not just go. And so we were like, anyway, come to think about it, if we happen to conceive now, it is still okay. But after after that time had elapsed, we just started discovering, wait a bit, it is now 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, nothing is happening. And we were like, wait a bit, okay, maybe they keep saying, when you've tried some family planning, I don't know, something like that, you have to wait. And so year 1, it was not. Another year, it is not happening. Another year, it is not happening. And so from that point, I think on our 4th year, that is when now we felt, so let's go. When we went to the gyna, was sent for this test, and they said your fallopian tubes are closed, and also you have fibroids in your womb, and that tells you, that makes it problematic for you to conceive. So from that, when I received that news, I remember that day I went and I had the results, and I told him, you please come and pick me, because the news I was so broken and crushed. He just drove and came, and I remember I could not tell him. I just crashed in that car. Wait a bit. To me, it was something so big that I felt. I still say I didn't deserve it. I felt that. So that was the news that I brought to him, and he told me, it is well. It is just well, no problem. Let us trust God for even healing. So we went home, but when you receive such a news, it is so disturbing. So we left it at that point, and now we were thinking of that the gyna will now be instructing you on what next. So when we got to our 5th year, this was now
crisis.
It was now crisis, because remember, we are servants of God, and also remember, being ministers, you have sons and daughters in the church, and we are blessed. We do weddings every year, and we are having new couples, and couples are also conceiving, which is our joy. We love it so much. We bless the Lord, but you feel so challenged. You feel, God, also me, I am trusting you for this miracle, and also the pressure from, I would say, everywhere.
And they're looking
at you and they're like, you know, Meka sana. They're looking at your stomach, nothing is happening. So on our 5th year, it was alarming, and we continued, you know, trusting God. And one thing I will say, on our 5th year now, I became so vulnerable as a woman. You know, as a woman, both of you are victims, but as a couple. But it is always so weightier in a woman's life, because everyone, when they're looking at a barren couple, they don't look at the man. In our society today, it is the woman who has a problem. And you know, when we had gone for all those tests, for him, truth be told, hey, everything was perfect for him. He was and you know, and so when we went back to the gyna the last time, when we were now healed, we did the sperm count, everything, and the gyna said, you guys, you are okay,
go and get babies,
get babies, nyinyi hamuna shida. And we were like, wow, glory to God. Let us know, because this is now spiritual problem. Even the doctors have said, and it's true, we did now have a problem. Now we were sent to the field and go get a baby, but now we are not getting. We have tried, and I will tell you, Mercy, that I tried everything apart from witchcraft. That is medication wise. I have to be specific. I didn't try witchcraft because we are born again. So we tried all kinds of medication, supplements, all you can take. Take this, wash your womb, I don't know, do all these things. I tried taking all those medications, prescription, but truth be told, nothing literally was working and worked at that particular time.
So for me, I knew that if God is blocking me from having a child, there might be a reason. There might be something. In fact, sometimes I used to tell her, hey,
God, let's thank God.
Yeah, thank God I don't have a child. Because, you know, a child might fall sick and then you're always running into hospital. Me, I used to tell God that better I do not have a child than have a child who is, maybe I need to deal with certain issues with that child. So I agreed that we are going to do the IVF, but I was not for it. You know, me, I'm not comfortable with this.
You have mentioned that you came from a polygamous family where your father had like 28 children. How are you telling them, Dad, we are yet to have a child? Ama, what are they telling you?
Wow, that's nice. I never told them. I decided to be able to protect her. I decided, no, I'm not going to share. Both my mom, my dad, I just decided, no, I'm going to leave it as, let them just know that maybe they have other plans. There's something they're working on before they begin to have children, because I knew it was going to bring a lot of pressure. Especially if you tell them that my wife has fibroids, my wife, I don't know. I decided to just be silent on it. So I never shared. And that's part of a very important strategy if you want to really deal with the pressure. There's a lot of pressure that comes into a family. You love one another first before you get into a marriage. A child is just, a gift, an additional gift that God can decide to bring into your life. But for me, I never saw her as just, someone who is going to give me children. I saw beyond that, because I had seen my dad had 28 children. And so if it's having kids, at least there is someone who has achieved that. If that's an objective, there is someone who has achieved it. So I believe marriage is beyond that, just having children. If you carry that perspective, you'll be able to manage the pressure that come, especially from out. You know, the pressure always comes from out, and the pressure always comes from within you. And the within you is the worst. Outside you can block. Don't tell anyone you're not able to sire babies.
So when do you now come to conceive, and how was that for you as a couple?
Thank you so much for that. Now, when we now go to the 6th year, as I had said, now pressure was too much. And to me, I felt, God, I need a child. Because there were events that had proceeded. Remember, you experience a lot of challenges. Some we can't talk about, some you can talk, some you can't even mention. But I think the biggest blow that I had, they are just two. I had very many externally, but the two that I felt, I went to the wall and told God, if I have to face this, then you have to open my womb. This is extreme. The first blow was I had gone for a family event, my family event, just to bury a very close cousin of mine who had died. So because I had gone with these cars, the public, the cars you pick as a family. So having gone with that, and there were issues that, oh, we want to get home tomorrow. Me, I had known we are going back today, so they changed to tomorrow. And I'm like, I need to be in church tomorrow, Sunday, so I have to travel overnight. So these family members were like, we can sleep, I travel tomorrow. But in that disagreement, I kept insisting, I paid this car because I knew I have to be in church tomorrow. So in that disagreement, I will call them my cousin sisters, who had just attended my wedding, and we had never seen each other. That is now 6 years down the line, because we don't see each other oftenly with our family. So it was an opportunity to see each other. I didn't know that there was a battle I needed to fight. I didn't know there was a blow, a shock. So these are people who kept talking about me, discussing me, fighting me in the background. I didn't know that. So when there was this disagreement, those cousins of mine in that car, they started now abusing me. And they started saying, oh, you think things that I can't say here, bad things. But the biggest were that the three of them, as they were abusing me, one of them said, if you are yani in Swahili, kama wewe ni mwanamke kama wengine, si uzae, you have a rotten womb, a lot of heavy things. And they were abusing me. You can abuse someone if you're handling a certain thing in that regards to that area. But we were just arguing on the issue of the car and the time the car should leave. But now they've started abusing me, my husband, you think, a lot of things. You have a rotten womb. If you are blessed, tell that husband of yours, a lot of things. And I felt, I asked them, you people, I thought we were just disagreeing on the issue of the car. But the whole disagreement and abuses was just on me and my womb and my marriage, the attack. And they started saying, a lot of things I can't put here. But I think that is the day I called my husband and I told him, I crashed. I called him crying. And he told me, it's well, you just keep quiet. And I remember that when now it happened now we were traveling back that night. But they kept abusing me. I would tell you, maybe they come across this, they can witness. The whole journey, it was about me. So I didn't know why they were so much on me with the issue of the baby. So on our 6th year, January, February, when we got to March, I would say we were just having issues that are not issues. In our marriage, we have never solved issues of infidelity, these big issues that couples solve, by the grace of God, I would say so. So with crying, with a lot of frustration, devastation, I said, he was at work. So I remember I went to work and I had not decided really that I want to go. But when I was at work, I felt, what if I just go somewhere and vanish and just, God, I want you to do something. So the 2 clothes I had on my body, I just decided, let me go back home and take some other 2 more clothes. And I told him, I'm gone. I am bye-bye. You will look for me. You will never see me, be sure. And he said, it's okay. Because ye pia huko amekasirika. So he said, it's okay. So I picked and I went. Instead of going home, kwenda kwetu, I decided to go somewhere and seek the Lord, because I felt that, God, if you're not coming to intervene right now, right here in this situation, I might lose my marriage. And I just went to the mountain, and now at that mountain I said, God, do you know I am here? If you don't give me a child, I'm just going. You are the one who ordained this marriage. I am going to break it. I am going to be done with it. So I sought the Lord. And when I was there, I told him, I've gone to Mombasa. I have gone to the Mombasa. Now, he was calling me severally. I was not picking. We had an event in the church. And he was like, please just come back. We're having this service. I need you back. I'm telling you, see where I am? In the forest. I am in Mombasa, so you cannot
You cannot
get me. And of course he was like so relaxed a bit, but the first day, the second, and you only the third, when it go to the fourth, this was urgent.
Yeah.
And you know, even at home I've told my dad, me, I'm tired, I've gone, and me, dad, never look for me, please just understand me, I'm just tired with everything. My dad is calling me, I am not picking up calls. It was just chaotic. So in the mountain, when it got on Friday, he begged me. He told me, I'm coming to you for you. I will even drive the car and come for you, and even come pick you. And I was like, yes, if you can come. But again, I insisted he should come, and then he was like, no, let me just pay your fare back so that you do what? You just come home. So he begged me so well, and you know, when you're begged, you have to come. I felt so nice. And you know, I love you. I can't do life without you. So on Saturday, I traveled back early in the morning. So having traveled in the morning, remember, these are the virgin. I'm coming back not to stay. To me, I had not told him, but I knew, God, this is so shameful. This is too much for me, and I'm a minister. What am I going to tell the world? It is, people don't understand. People criticize. People even question your God. And I told him, I just want to see your hand. So when I came back on that Saturday, it was on a Saturday, so we of course we slept. Now on a Sunday morning, you're going to church. And as usual, when you go, you've missed your partner. So when I came, he had missed me so much, right?
I think so.
You think? I'm not now going to say the other part. He's saying he thinks.
Yeah.
You think? You missed me, or you're thinking you missed me?
I did miss you, of
You
course.
missed me.
Yeah.
And we blessed each other that morning. And having blessed each other that morning as a couple, so that was the day I conceived. So after another week, I went to work. In my workplace, there was a couch that you could sleep. So I was so tired, and I placed myself sleeping. So sleeping there, I dreamt that the Lord is, I'm dreaming, that's a dream. The Lord is tapping me, arise. Because that morning I had taken 2 painkillers. It's very severe. So I'm waiting for my menstruals. In fact, I'm waiting for them in the next 2 days. So the more you get nearer, the more severe they are. So I'm dreaming, the Lord is tapping me, wake up, arise. Don't take painkillers, the Lord is telling me, and don't complain, for I have blessed your womb with a nation.
Wow.
I am dreaming. So I woke up, and you know, the dream is very fresh. He was at work, and I called him. Hi, honey, I have had this dream. And he told me, that is what you've dreamt. That means you are pregnant. And I told him, really? Pregnant? And I'm supposed to see my menstruals. So he told me, yes, you are pregnant. You know, the surety that, you know, how he responded really amazed me. And there was just, in the next shop, there was a chemist there. And I went. And I told the chemist person that I need a kit to test. I came back where I was working, and I tested. And you know, the way you will just drip that drip there. And I saw every time, some time back I used to test in our 3rd year in marriage, but I stopped. I tested like 3 times, nothing was happening. I stopped doing those things. So this time around, just doing like this, there were 2 lines within a blink of an eye. And I said, I'm not believing this. I went back to that chemist, that person who was working in that chemistry. I told him, please tell me, how does it operate? Because I was so confused. If you have 2 lines, it means you're positive. And if you've seen 2 lines, and then I was carrying it. I said, this is it. And he said, you are expectant. I said, no, please, I don't believe it. Let me bring the remaining urine so that you test it here. You know, I might have done it for me. It's true. Then he did it. And then it was 2 lines. He said, you are expectant. I did not believe. I told him, wait a bit. I want now to go to I called him, and I told him, when I was calling him, I had even tested. I had seen the 2 lines, but I was not believing. I said, Apana, let me just go even to a hospital. So I'm calling him on a motorbike, on top of a motorbike, going to the junction. There's a place we used to call Junction, going there to test. And he told me, it's okay, you go and check and test and tell me. So when I went to that hospital, they did a test. And amazingly, I was expectant. I did not believe. I was confused. My world
shifted.
My world stood. It was unbelievable. I did not believe it.
Wow.
How can I conceive? And how have I conceived?
Just like
that.
Finally.
And finally it had happened. And my husband was so happy. Please even talk about that, how you felt.
Please.
Yeah, of course, it's good after such a period. You're trusting God, and you also want to make sure that the pressure that come with that, at least it begins to decrease. And part of what I knew was going to solve all of that if we got a baby. And so I was happy. I was happy.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say I was happy.
How was the pregnancy journey?
Wow, the pregnancy journey was tough again. I would say it was very tough, just like every other thing has been tough in my life or in our lives, I would say so. After I had conceived, and now you start, we wanted to start the clinics very early, because remember, we have never conceived, we don't know much and all that. So when we discovered again that when we had conceived, when we went for the first clinic, they do the scan, the second, I think, or the first, when they did the scan, they discovered the fibroids were there. They were now again visible. With the fibroids were there, and again a cyst was seen. So we started that journey, and the gynae said, this is what you have, the baby is there, but you have fibroids, you have cysts. So that means this pregnancy, they have to watch over it very keenly, and to see maybe it comes to fruition at the end of the day. So when we got to 41 weeks, we said, well, time has elapsed. Now, mtoto amefika, but no labor pains, nothing is happening. So we decided to take ourselves and go to the hospital. By the time we were going, I would say it was 41 weeks and 9 and how many days? 8 days. So we went 42 weeks. We went now on the 42th week now to get the child. But so we did not go because we had labor. We went because this baby was 42 weeks. The baby is not coming out, and now we need to go. And so when we went to the hospital, they had seen that I was dilated the day I was going, I dilated 2 centimeters. So the doctors say that, you okay, you've dilated 2 centimeters, we want to admit you here. So you come back in the evening, we admit you so that we induce you, you get your baby. So, and then they told me to go and walk a bit, do those kind of things. So because I was not so prepared, when I went, there are things they do. They check you. So the checking process was so painful to me. So they told me to come. It was during the day, come in the evening. So with what I had experienced that mchana, I felt I was not ready for this again. So I told him, let me just go. So I was to go back. I did not go because I felt I'm not ready to go back. So I slept. So I went the next day. It was on a Saturday. I went the next day. So the last minute, the doctor said that, hey, you aufunguki. We have tried. They tried even opening me. I would say naturally. This is how they do it. They just try to open you. But with all those pain, with all that experience, I did not open. So they said the last thing that the doctor said, that if atafunguka by saa sita, we have to opt for a C-section.
Bernard, when you're looking at your wife go through all this pain, considering that you are okay, even if God does not bring this child, what was going through your mind at that point?
Wow. Number one, I knew if it's God who has decided that we should now have a child, especially in this specific season, it was him again to help her go through the whole process of carrying the baby and also safe delivery. And so I still trusted that everything was going to work out. We really wanted to have a normal delivery. That was what we wanted. But when it came to a point where we knew, no, this is not going to work, we accepted. Sometimes people begin to debate, no, this is what I want and this is what I want. But if you carry the perspective that everything works out for good, there are babies who go through the normal delivery and in the process, they are affected because of the normal delivery. So I had to accept personally that because I trust God and this has not been able to work out, she's not able to open, then let's just go for this other option. And so I was comfortable. As long as the baby is going to be safe, I had consulted. Every time I asked the doctor, tell me the truth. Tell me the best decision at this point. What is it? And so I was sure that that was the best option to explore.
Now take us through that process.
With all that screaming, I saw the baby. And I started just speaking and just saying, oh my God, is this the child? I was not believing, is this my child? To me, it was a world that I'd never seen. They lift that baby and is this, until now I was not feeling what was happening here. So is this the child? They have to take the child somewhere else to make the child, in a proper way. And all I was doing was to lift my head, following where the baby is going, is being taken. And all I was doing was, is that my child? Oh my God, is this my child? I did not believe that I kept asking God, not losing a mother, not getting in marriage and waiting for 6 years, not just waiting, a very painful pregnancy, not just a painful one, a very painful delivery. But now what am I saying? What I'm carrying, Shifra, is the joy. I look at that child. I look at that baby. The waiting was worth it. It was worth undergoing that pain. I thank God.
Someone would ask, as a couple, after going through that process, do you still desire to sire more children?
That's a subject of discussion. That's a subject of discussion. Way before we began a journey to have children, we had an objective for how many kids we want. But because of those experiences, we even resorted to making some certain adjustments. So I hear people say that every pregnancy has got different experiences. So we don't know, but in the appointed time, God will be able to guide us on, who knows, maybe we might have 10 kids. Maybe Shifra is the only one we'll ever have.
Ours is to thank you for sharing your story with us and looking at that camera. What would you tell a couple that is waiting or someone who is in the waiting place?
To everyone who is watching this and you are trusting God, number one, for the fruit of your womb. Every wait, I would say, is valid, whether for 1 year, for months, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, every wait is valid. And also people who are waiting on God, specifically, not even for a child, but we wait on God for various things in life. So to you who is trusting God and waiting upon the Lord for something and anything, mine is to encourage you that the best decision you will make is to hold on to God. Because I said, I tried all medications, it did not work. At the end of the day, it was only God who had to uphold me. And so I would encourage you to just hold on to the Lord, wait upon him, because the Bible says, them that wait upon the Lord, oh my God, he will renew your strength. He will renew. So as you wait, he renews your strength. And finally, do you know what? The Lord is going to give you the desires of your heart. Just hold on. Don't quit. Don't run away. Let your faith be unto him. When every other thing fails, ensure that you cling on him the more. Yeah.
And for you, Bernard?
Wow. I would say this. According to Romans chapter 8 and verse 28, the Bible says that all things work together for good, for those who love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. In your wait, refocus yourself to make sure that you are not waiting in anxiety. life has got a lot more things than just maybe the specific thing that you're trusting God to give you. It might be a baby, it might be a job, or whatever thing. It might be a sickness that you are in right now. But wait without anxiety. Refocus your energy on something that is more productive, and you're going to discover that the wait is not in vain. Because I believe every experience that you might go through is often has a purpose attached. And so wait patiently, and I know that at the appointed time, the good Lord will be able to fulfill the desires of your heart. That is my prayer for you, but just wait patiently unto the Lord. If the Lord has planned to give you a baby, it's okay. If he has planned not to give you a baby, it should still be okay. There is more to life than what our short-sightedness is able to show us. Otherwise, God bless you.
Now, to finalize our episode today, we will do something that we normally do. You will look at each other and tell each other the sweetest words you would think of at this moment. Zenyato J. Mwambia.
Wow. One thing I will tell you, my husband, the love of my life, that I love you so much. And you know what? The biggest thing that I feel today and that I ever wanted was to give you a child. And just to see how your child will look like. And I thank God that today I have one. And to many more years, I love you so very much. I think I can die for you.
Wow. Are you done?
Yes.
I would still tell you these words. I often told you the same words while we were waiting on God and trusting God for a baby. And I told you that having children was not the main reason why I married you. I would still tell you that, even though we have one today, because my perspective about marriage is bigger than just having children. And I love you. I thank God that you've been able to endure the things you've endured, just to make sure that you give me Shifrashani. And my prayer for you is God is going to continually reward you for doing that, and also for standing in different phases of affliction. My prayer is God is going to continue to strengthen you and even add more years. The years that your mom never lived, may God honor and give you those years to live. And of course, when you live, I also live with you, enjoying together with you. So God bless you.
That has been a beautiful episode. And to you, our audience, I would like to hear what you have learned from this story. And to you, our beautiful couple, thank you for coming. And we wish you all the best. And we want to see you with more successful stories and a beautiful marriage. Thank you for watching. And until next time, my name is Jeremasi.